Touch. Touch. Can you touch? Touch. Good boy. Alright. Hello everyone, it's Eleanor Rose again. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about Dexter and his heartworm diagnosis. Dexter is a 18-month-old German Shepherd that we rescued about a week ago? Yes. And he is heartworm positive. So today we're going to talk about what that means, what heartworm is, how it can affect you and your pet, and most importantly, how you can prevent it so you don't have to go through the treatment that Dex is going through with your pet, because it's kind of a hassle. So let's get started. So heartworm. Heartworms are a parasite. They are transmitted by mosquitoes. You're breathing really loud, too. I like how he stops. They're transmitted by mosquitoes. So anytime an infected mosquito bites a dog, they can become infected with heartworms. It does take about 7 months for the dog to then become heartworm positive on a test. So that's why it's important to regularly test your dogs, because it does take a while for them to become heartworm positive. But the heartworms go into the bloodstream, and these little baby heartworms swim around your dog's bloodstream until they get to the heart, where they stay and they grow bigger, and they can grow 1 foot to 2 feet in length, which is like really, really long if you think about it for being in a heart. And they latch onto the vessels and they just stay there and get all big and gross and nasty and are feeding off of the nutrients in your dog's blood, and more of them can start, grouping up and clumping up, and unfortunately that can cause a lot of heart problems for your dog. So it can be harder for your dog to breathe because they're not getting oxygen efficiently enough, because the heart is having to work a lot harder. Not only can they start to breathe a lot heavier, but they can just be really lethargic, because again, they're just not oxygenating their blood as well. It's not pumping through the heart as efficiently. And they can also get some forms of, what am I thinking of? Issues with their valves, because the worms can actually stop the valves from closing all the way, and so blood can flow where it's not supposed to and create, I want to say it's a kind of heartworm murmur. Somebody fact check me on that. But it just creates all kinds of problems, and they feel nasty. And when they have enough heartworms that it's really affecting them, they start to bloat, and they have this fluid in their abdomen. And I'm not 100% sure why that happens, because I did not study enough before making this video, but it is related to the heartworms. So if you see, I see dogs coming into the shelter all the time, that people are like, oh, that dog looks like it's pregnant, like really pregnant, like that dog is like really bloated. And I'm like, no, actually that's just like end stage heartworm disease. And they just have all this fluid, and if you tap on it, it sounds like, kind of like hollow, like kind of like a bad watermelon or like a water balloon. It has that echoey, hollowy sound. And it's really sad to see these dogs come in, because they're like, I know, it's sad, isn't it? And they're laboring to breathe, and they even just walking is hard for them, and they're clearly in pain too. It causes pain just because stuff is not right in their system. So that's what heartworm can do to your dog if you let it get to the adult stage and you let them get infected with it. So the treatment for heartworm, there is a treatment for heartworm, but number one, it is really expensive. Before we adopted Dex, we had our vet prepare an estimate, and it was going to be about $2,000, and that's for the medicine, the injections, as well as the vet stays that would be associated with it, and the retesting and some of the other medications that he would have to take as well. So $2,000 for a year of treatment to be completely 100% done with heartworms. And that's a lot of money. We were really fortunate that someone graciously sponsored part of Dex's treatment, so we're not going to have to pay for the medications, but we still are going to have to pay for the overnight vet stays and rechecking him in 6 months, in 3 months, and 6 months, and a year to make sure that we got all of them, because heartworm treatment is about 90-95% effective. Is sometimes it misses some of the worms and you have to go through it 2 or sometimes even 3 times to get all of them if you have a really highly infected dog. So the worst thing about heartworm treatment, though, I think, is you have to restrict your dog's exercise. So, and I'm not talking like just don't hike with them for 12 miles. Poor Dex here is in a crate for most of the day, just chilling by his lonesome, because you really can't do anything. So when I take him out to go potty, he has to be on a leash, and if he gets excited at all, I take him right back in and put him in his crate. And I can't walk him farther than the mailbox. He gets 1 walk a day to the mailbox and back, and that's it. And I try to go like walk one day and then don't walk and then walk the next day, because anytime your dog's heart, when they're going through this treatment, it gets excited and it gets beating real fast because they're excited or they're running or they're being active, the worms that are in their heart that are dying from this medicine that you're giving them to kill them, because that's what we want, sometimes they can start to like break apart, or there's kind of a lot of them. If you look up, don't do this if you're squeamish, but if you look up like pictures of necropsies of dogs that have died of heartworms or that have died that were heartworm positive, you can see it's like a massive spaghetti. It's really gross. But parts of these worms will break off and go into the bloodstream, and they can get stuck in the blood vessels in the lungs, the pulmonary vessels, and create clots that make it really, really difficult for them to breathe, and they can throw what's called a pulmonary embolism and die from that. If their heart gets going too fast and it starts sending off pieces of dead worm all around the body, and it can create several other issues. It can create areas of infection and swelling and all this stuff, but mainly it's the pulmonary embolisms that would be an issue. Because blood flow to the lungs is, kind of important for like oxygen exchange and stuff like that. So the point of all of this is that heartworm treatment is really rough on the dog. They have to get an injection. They inject it in their back muscles. Yes, I know. And they're really sore for about a week or 2 afterwards. And then they need to, there's 3 injections. Some places will tell you 2, but 3 is what the American Heartworm Society recommends. And they need to be done the first injection, and then 30 days later the second 2 injections. And you have to keep your dog quiet for that first month, so 4 weeks, and then after the second and third injection another 4 weeks. And then most veterinarians will recommend they'll check them then, and then do another 2 weeks of limited activity before they can return to full activity. So that's like 10 weeks where you have to keep your dog quiet in a crate for most of the day, only leash walked, no playing with other dogs, no running around the house, no fetch, no getting excited about food, none of that. They can't have any activity where their heart rate can go up, because they could possibly die from it. And it's so hard. It's so hard, especially, Dex is a really good boy, and most of the time he doesn't whine in his crate. But if we're, that was a yawn, not a whine. If we're going out and we're taking the other dogs with us, or we're going upstairs and he's downstairs in his crate, he'll whine a little bit because he wants to be with us. He's a very people-centered dog, and that's one of the things we chose him for. And then now we have to lock him in a crate because If I didn't have other dogs, I'd let him out and walk around the house because that wouldn't be enough activity to increase, that's the word I'm looking for, to increase his heart rate. But my other 2 little dogs love him to death and want to play with him, and so they can't, like, I can't have them interact. So I'm having to keep them, these, you know, 2, 3 dogs separate from each other, and also to walk him and, you know, make sure he's using the restroom. He's a little picky about using the restroom on a leash, so you kind of have to, like, pretend we're going on a walk to get him to go number 2, huh? Yeah, I'm talking about you. And it's a lot of work. And then also, you know, I'm spending at least an hour of my, hi, yes, thank you. I know, I'm talking about you. Down, lay down. Dex, down, good boy. I know. See, he gets frustrated because he wants to go and do things. But I'm spending an hour or 2 hours of my day doing training with him. That's, you know, just like sit down, stay, shake, touch, so that he gets mental stimulation. And I'm, you know, making Kongs every day, so he has frozen Kongs ready to go whenever he needs, like, calm down stuff. And we're spending money on chew toys, and we're spending money on special like pheromone collars to try and help him out with something my vet recommended. He recommended a certain brand of collar that has pheromones in it that will help keep him calm. But it's been really difficult, and I know that Dex would be a lot happier if we could run him around, but I don't want him to die. Hey, this is a PG show, okay? So that's why heartworm treatment is so difficult on your animals. Now, if you've heard that and you're like, wow, I don't want my dogs to get heartworm, the great news is that heartworm is 100% preventable. 100% preventable. And an easy once a month chew that you give your dogs, and it's not very expensive, and there's lots of places where you can get like vouchers to either reduce the cost or to, you know, get free heartworm treatment. Come here, bud, lay down. And there's really just no excuse. If you have pets, you need to take them to the vet, and no matter where you live in the world, heartworms are a thing. Maybe not like Antarctica, but I know at least in the US, they're seeing rising heartworm rates in places like the Pacific Northwest and you know, the Northeast, and all over the northern part of the US, because people go, oh, well, I don't, you know, have to treat my dog for heartworms, blah blah blah. But all it takes, can you stop that? Thank you. Down. Thanks. Down. Dex, lay down. Lay down. Wanna be there? Okay, that's fine. He wants to be behind me. I guess he's camera shy right now. Anyway, as I was saying, they're seeing rising heartworm rates in colder places where you wouldn't typically see. Really? Where you wouldn't typically see heartworm rates that high, because people are not doing their preventatives. And especially down here in the South, in Texas, where it's hugely prevalent because we have mosquitoes pretty much year round, I have no idea why you wouldn't go to the vet and buy, you know, like a $20 medicine, I don't even know if it's that much, once a month, to be able to ensure that your dog doesn't have to go through this, you know, $2,000 treatment that is extremely painful and mentally and physically taxing on them. It doesn't make any sense to me. So it's really unfortunate that Dex's previous owner didn't do the simple thing of giving him his heartworm prevention once a month, and now he has to go through all of this because someone was neglectful of him. I'm pretty positive that he didn't get it just by like being a stray, because he was really well groomed and good boy, and didn't look like he had been on his own for at least the 7 months that it would have taken him to test heartworm positive. Yeah, because your nails were short and you were pretty clean. So someone just decided not to. which is really sad that he now has to sit in a crate for 3 months and not do anything because somebody was dumb. So, moral of the story, heartworm is something that you should be worried about with your pet. You should be talking to your doctor about how you're protecting your pet. Also, segue that I forgot to mention. Not with your collar, thank you. There's a 6-month injection that you can give, so you only have to do it twice a year. It's a little bit more expensive, but if you're forgetful, like me, and Dex just fell off the bed. Anyway, if you're forgetful, come here, Dex. Come here. How about Dexter? Get up here. Okay, cool. He wants to lay in. Well, come up here. Okay. If you're forgetful like me and you, just want to be sure that you don't accidentally forget your dog's heartworm treatment for a month, because I know I might do that at some point if I didn't do the 6-month injections. Definitely Dexter, how about a good boy? Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and end it. Alright. And that's kind of all we have to say about that. So make sure you get your dogs on heartworm preventative or get them tested so you know if you have to treat them for heartworm. And me and Dexter are gonna go have some training time. Yeah. So we'll see y'all later. Don't forget to hit that like button, leave a comment about whether you would be willing to adopt a heartworm positive dog. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can see all of Dex's progress. All right, we'll see y'all later. Bye.